What's up, Explorers? I'm Jeff from the Cloud Explorers. Welcome back to the Microsoft AI Advent Calendar, the Winter Party Exploration series. Since it's day 2, it's time to open the second box of our Advent Calendar. And for today, we have Bicep Deploy Azure Open AI Service. During this episode, we're going to have a look on how we can use Bicep to deploy this service. But before we head into the actual deployment, I want to show you where I got my info and what setup I used. So for the initial page, if you simply use your favorite search engine, you're going to do a search query on Azure Open AI and Bicep. This is the page that you're probably going to have at the top of your search results. If you haven't, check the link down below. And this is the general article on how to deploy the Azure Open AI resource using Bicep. It has a couple of things to consider. It has a prerequisite, obviously subscription, etc. And basically a couple of things about the kind and SKU, what you can read as it differs per cognitive service resource. And final, the actual Bicep example, although I found out that the example uses a bit of an old API. So what I did is I went to the Microsoft Learn Bicep and ARM templates and looked up the cognitive service namespace and clicked on the first one, which is accounts. And when you're using the cognitive service namespace accounts, you can specify which type of cognitive service you deploy. And this is very nicely summed up here for vision, for speech, for language. In our case, it's Azure OpenAI. You simply specify OpenAI. So I combined both of the information available in both of these pages into a Git repository where I have an initial setup, and I will be using this Git repository to slowly build up any kinds of example, any kinds of experimentation that I'm going to do in this episode and in any of the following episodes. And hopefully slowly build together with you a solid quick start template for the Microsoft AI service. On top of that, I pre-created a resource group, and we're gonna have a look at it later on. So let's jump into the repo. The repo is based on a standard structure that I often use. If you're interested in how this structure exists or where it's from, etc., I actually have a separate blog post about this structure on my blog website, which again I will link down below. And there are a couple of README files on how it's set up. The whole README file for everything is available as a whole set. I'm just right now using a small subset of that. And that small subset consists from AZ controllers and modules. The controllers are the actual deployment files, and modules contain the Bicep modules. I have a params folder where I keep the parameter file and a very, very, very bare bone deploy Bicep PowerShell script because I like PowerShell. So let's build from the bottom up. So as shown in the two Learn pages that you've seen, what is needed is a cognitive service account. I've updated the API version to the latest possible version. Then a name is required, a location, an SKU, and the kind. And in this case, I hard-coded the kind because I want the OpenAI and not any of the other services. I put in the parameters with a bit of a description, forced the East US as the only allowed location because that's where the main OpenAI service is that has the most amount of services or features available, at least at the time of recording this. And right now only one SKU for OpenAI is available, which is S0. So I put that one into allowed as well. So, and this is my module. There's not much more to it. That module is then executed or called from the controller. And the controller has, again, the same parameters. It has a target scope resource group, because I want to do a resource group deployment here. Simply passing the parameters. And perhaps one interesting to show is the deployment names. This is how I often, if I have a lot of modules that I'm executing, I like to keep the deployment names at the top. So I have a variable here where I have all the deployment names listed, and I simply use them like this. And I'll show you the result in a minute when we actually deploy. I'm already connected to my subscription. So the only thing left to do is press F8 and see how it's going to deploy. So let's have a look. So this is the resource group that I pre-created for it. And hopefully the deployment should start. Yeah, there we go. So as you can see here in the parameters, that's a weird one. I think I might still have the old service running somewhere. So let's try again. Yeah, it has been self-deleted. So we're gonna up the number just by 1, and that should not be a problem. This is an interesting thing. I knew that the services were, after deleting at least the Azure OpenAI services, were kept for 30 days, but I kind of did not link that to the soft deletion. So this is a good one actually for me as well, to know that if I want to delete them, I actually need to make sure I force delete them instead. So while the deployment is running, this is the parameters that I'm using: the cognitive service name based on the naming convention, the SKU, and the location. So let's have a look at the resource again. Yeah, there we go. So as you can see in the deploy, I actually used stkt AOI SRV as my deployment name. And you can see that here as well, of the actual module and the main script deployment like this. Let's have a look. And there it is. That's the service. This is as bare bone as it gets to deploying the Azure OpenAI Service. Now, there was something while I was doing some experiments with this service that I noticed, and this is this field, generate a custom domain name. So I can enter a value for a custom domain name, and that name will actually be used in the endpoints. And we can see them here. Oh, apologies. You can see them probably better here. Here we have the generic endpoints, and we can see that same endpoint here as well. And as far as I understood, when filling this in with a value, we actually specify that those endpoints to be a specific domain name. And we can do that manually here, but I like to do things through automation. So let's see if we can add it. And based on the research that I've done so far, It's simply a property called custom subdomain name, and I'm just gonna, in this case, give it the same name as my service. Again, wait. And let's see what's gonna happen, if it's gonna deploy or not. Let's go back to deployments. It's still going. That's interesting. It's still showing here succeed. Ah, there it goes. So it's in progress. We'll have to wait a minute or two. And hopefully we will have our own custom domain name. Well, the prefix is custom in this case. Let's have a look. There it goes. Ah, it's still in progress. I didn't expect it to take that long, to be honest. So let's see. It still has the prefix. So the idea, at least from my understanding, what should happen is when the custom domain name is done, is added, this whole option disappears. It's the longest time I've seen this actually being deployed, so I'm really, really surprised. So let's see. Is it done? Is it done? Is it done? It's still going. Wow. This is really the longest one I've ever seen so far. I did not expect for this to happen, but again, it's a learning experience for me as well. It's going over 2 minutes. Ah, well. In the meantime, I guess we can have a quick look at the actual service. So as you can see, we deployed it in ECUS in my MVP subscription. It has the regular resource management properties as most of the services. Maybe interesting to show. The S0 as a standard tier. There's nothing else available here. Like I mentioned, there is a VNet integration, and a custom domain name is required for VNet integration. So maybe that's the reason that it takes so long to deploy with the same domain name. I'm not sure. Last time I tried, it went significantly faster. We can use a system or user assigned identity, and we have the regular cost analysis, regular properties, obviously logs, keys and endpoints. Yeah, there you go. We can see it here. So the endpoint actually changed. So yes, the deployment was successful. And let's have a look. The button is gone. We can have a look at the endpoints. Oh, it points there. And let's have a look in the JSON file. Did the endpoints change? Aha. So the OpenAI endpoints did not. But our own endpoint did. Although I'm still surprised that it's not changed here. I would expect it to be. But I guess when we deploy, this is the actual endpoint we have to use. And this one definitely changed. So yeah, with regards to the Azure Open AI Service deploying with Bicep, that is pretty much it. We can, in one of the next episodes, we'll actually go in and I'll try to explore the service itself. But again, since it's Advent calendar, I want to keep it a little bit of a surprise what we're gonna do in which episode. So if you liked it, please like the video. If you didn't, download the shit out of it. If you want to use the little Bicep starter that I created, look it up in the Cloud Explorer's repository. Again, it's going to be linked down below. Have a good day or a good night. Till next video. Bye bye.